23 years in jail for manslaughter in the first degree. The sentencing was really emotional yesterday. Everybody involved. And, you know, one thing you do walk away and look at here and say, boy, this has just destroyed so many people, this one horrible event. So you have a dead woman who everyone loved. And then you have all these family members that are being torn apart, and things will never be the same for them. Just, you know, when you're thinking about, you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm just having the worst. This is why me. Woe is me. Imagine what all of these people are going through. Without judging who did what. Imagine what all of these people are going through. It's just terrible. Now, we do have on the line Colleen Jennings. She was a juror in the first Kaitlyn Conley trial, which ended with a hung jury. And she's on the line now. Colleen, thank you for calling in, and good morning.
Good morning.
So tell me, what are your thoughts on yesterday's sentencing?
It upset me a lot. This has been on my mind. I mean, it hasn't stopped since I was on the jury.
Yeah.
And it's very upsetting to me.
Do you think that Kaitlyn Conley is innocent?
Yes, I do. I'm not saying that she had no involvement in it, whether it be innocently involved or not. But to say that she did this, masterminded this whole thing herself or whatever, no, I don't believe that.
What was when you guys ended in a hung jury? What was it like in the deliberation room?
Oh, it very frustrating.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. There was a couple jurors that we just couldn't get them to be open-minded at all.
And when you say open-minded to think that that Kaitlyn did not do it.
Well, either way, I mean,
Yeah.
like we had said, you know, make us see what you see, you know, and change our minds.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't do it.
Now, Colleen, were these other jurors, were they right out of the gate? I mean, I'm assuming they would be, obviously, but were they right out of the gate guilty and they were not budging at all, or was there a time that you had kind of got around to getting them to reconsider?
No, they were guilty, and that's what it was staying.
Okay, you felt that way. Tell me, what do you have someone after the first trial? Did you have someone in your mind that you feel committed the crime?
Honestly, no. No, I didn't. I mean, to me, it happened. Somebody's done it, but I don't know who.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's really trying to put this puzzle together is really hard.
It was told to us that the jurors had reached out to the judge and had said, you know, if you had a manslaughter charge in our trial, the first trial, we probably would have found her guilty of manslaughter. And that is, of course, what she was just found guilty of. Do you agree with that?
We did mention that the charges were too high.
Yeah.
That we couldn't go with the charges they gave us. Yes, we did.
And when you saw that she was guilty of manslaughter in the first degree, knowing that could carry a 25-year sentence, and she ends up getting 23, you're telling us that you're unhappy with the sentence, but you feel that you could have convicted on manslaughter. Is that true?
Well, we probably could have, because we all did agree that, you know, we felt she ordered the culturing.
Okay.
So, I mean, we were in agreement that she had part in it.
Okay.
Like I said, whether innocently or not, she had part in it. But to say that she actually gave her the stuff, no, there was nothing there proving that she actually gave her that.
And how did you handle the information that came out about the cell phone and we're talking about Kaitlyn here,
digital,
and the fact that they had the DNA on the colchicine bottle? How did that affect you?
Well, they said there even with Bill, they said that there wasn't enough to include him or disclude him of DNA on that bottle. Okay, so that was part of it. And then the other thing is when the lady got up and told us how the DNA worked, that you shed DNA cells and this, and that, it was kind of like it could have got on there from different ways, you know. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to touch something.
Yeah. In the first trial, there was testimony. I believe this was in the first trial. And correct me if I'm wrong. There was testimony that Bill Yoder was seen in a romantic embrace. Was that in the first trial?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that affect you at all? And was that? Do you believe that testimony was credible?
It affected it a little bit. Yeah. But not a lot.
But it seems that you're really you're calling basically today and saying, I cannot tell you who did this.
Right.
Based on the trial, you don't believe it's possible that none of the three did it. But your belief, though, is that she did not commit murder with in the killing of Mary Yoder.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot pointing towards Adam. There was a lot pointing towards Bill, and it was back and forth. And then when you look at it, it's like 1 minute it looks like Adam did it, next minute it looks like Bill did it. It just went back and forth with the what evidence we were presented, the circumstantial evidence, I should say.
Yeah.
There was no definite. And then when Pelly was in the courtroom, everybody that got up on the stand, pretty much he knocked their theory down because he said, "Can you say for a definite?" And they all said no.
Right.
Can I ask you your take on something? I think I've brought this up every time somebody has suggested that it was Bill. Kaitlyn herself says, Adam confessed to me and told me where he put the colchicine. That was what she had put in the letter, basically.
Yes.
What was your take on Bill being involved and Adam's involvement? I guess my question is, did you believe Bill was involved? And the reason I'm asking that is because the person on trial says it wasn't Bill, it was actually his son, and he told me he did it.
So what's your question exactly?
Well, you had said sometimes it looked like maybe it was Bill, sometimes it looked like it was Adam. I guess I'm trying to understand how much of a suspect was Bill in your mind when you have the defendant herself saying, no, it wasn't Bill, it was Adam, and Adam told me he did it. I'm trying to understand how much. You said sometimes it looked like Bill, sometimes it looked like maybe Adam.
Well, yeah, some of the things that Bill had, part of it, yes, I'm going to say dating the sister, and then him getting an inheritance, and his wife wanting to build on and have the mother live with him, and the mother-in-law and stuff, and he didn't want any of that. I don't know. It was just multiple things.
Right. Okay. So basically, what you're saying is with Bill, there was at least evidence that showed a possible motive.
Yes.
Okay, and I understand that. And did you buy the motive with Kaitlyn, though? The motive that, and I guess I'm mixing everything up now between trial 1 and trial 2, but at some point in one of these trials it came out that maybe the motive, and it would have been a weak maybe, could have been that she did this in order to put her Adam, who she really wanted to be with, in a mode of sympathy so that she could then comfort him and the two of them could get back together. Did you buy that?
No. Because I believe that it was mutual between them wanting each other, first of all. I don't think that she wanted him any more than he wanted her. Yeah. And no. And do I believe he would have confided that? Yes. If they were that close, they always came together when they had problems. I do believe he would have told her that. And then he seemed like he was controlling, and that he would have that over her. Now you're involved.
How about the cell phone? It was alluded, implied that Adam had a lot of control over Kaitlyn's cell phone. But the prosecution has said, and even after the trial, boy, when you see her with that cell phone, she's got it right in her hand at all times. They don't buy that. But did you buy that? That Adam had possession of her phone, her computer, the ability to you that's something that played a role for you?
Yes, I believe he had it. I mean, he bought her a cell phone. He never bought her anything, but he bought her the cell phone, and he set it up for her.
And proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It sounds like those words mean an awful lot to you.
Yep.
Now, that does not mean that that you must be absent of all doubt. You could have some doubt, but a reasonable doubt. You feel there was enough reasonable doubt to clearly to acquit. I mean, that's how you feel?
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you too. This was how long were you on this trial? How long was the first trial?
I'm not positive. I think it was like 19 days. Maybe,
okay,
or
it was
something.
a big chunk of your life.
Yeah.
How emotional has this been for you? Not just the sentencing, but witnessing it all, hearing all the emotions during the trial, then going through everything that you probably followed with the second trial, and then yesterday's sentencing. How has this affected you?
Oh, it still is. I mean, it tears me up inside. It really does. It has affected me like it's almost like a personal thing.
Yeah.
It is. It's turned into that. And I'm really, really upset, and it's just on my mind all the time about it, thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my biggest things is I can't understand how they got immunity.
Right.
See, now, you give somebody immunity, you got to find somebody to blame for this.
Well, and that's, I mean, to some extent that is true, but again, Scott McNamara was very clear about that.
Well, we know how it happened. It happened because the choice was made for them to testify during the grand jury. But again, I don't think we can. This is a juror who was there and sat through it all. Mm-hmm. And while there are other jurors clearly that had a different opinion, Colleen, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard for us. I mean, I'm not. I hope that I'm not challenging you on anything because it's not me endorsing what you're saying or considering what you're saying to be the gospel or the absolute truth.
No, you have your opinion.
But you were there, and I cannot. I can't challenge what you say because you did your duty, which is what we're all potentially going to end up doing at some point if you end up getting on a trial such as this, right?
Well, and I was just alluding to the fact that it's still possible that if the appeal goes through and some evidence surfaces to show somebody else did this and that person was given immunity through the grand jury, they could still be tried because of the fact that they would have in essence lied
they
about
lied on
what
the stand. That would end that. Manaski.
They can.
Yeah, if it were to be determined that Bill or Adam Yoder had lied on the stand,
right,
they would then relinquish their immunity.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So some proof came forward, Andrew is absolutely right there, according to what the DA told us. Yeah.
What was the jury split when obviously it was a hung jury, but how close was it? 8-4, 10-2, 6-6?
When we first went in, we asked, and we were like 6-6, and then it got down to 8-4. And then we were 10-2. And then just before the judge came in.
In favor of guilty, you're
not
saying?
Guilty.
Yeah, not guilty.
Oh, not guilty.
Yeah,
not
it was 10-2, not guilty.
Right. And then just when the judge came in to talk to us after we sent, the letter out saying we couldn't come to a conclusion, we never would. And
I'm shocked by that, by the way.
You're saying
I thought it was 10-2 guilty. You're saying it was 10-2 not guilty.
Yes, 10 not guilty.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That is, and we know in this other one, the second one, when they sent the note to the jury, they were 10-2 for guilty.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, they were. So let me ask one more thing.
I wanted you were going to say something. Can you finish what you were saying? I'm sorry to have interrupted.
Oh, so then just like when we sent the letter out and then the judge came in, he said, you don't have to tell me anything, whatever, but what was the verdict, and so we told them, 10 not guilty and 2 guilty, and then somebody had spoke up and said no, 4-8. So two people changed their mind at the last minute.
So at the last minute it was 8-4.
Yeah.
8 not guilty, 4 guilty.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask your perception, your feeling on the prosecution? There was an adjustment in the prosecution team the second time through. Obviously, there was a different defense attorney as well. What was your take on the attorneys handling the case? Do you have any opinion on them?
On Kaitlyn's case?
On first of all, on the one that you sat on the Kaitlyn Conley. So the attorneys for the defense, the attorney for the prosecution. Your take on them?
Well, I thought they were pretty good. Okay, I mean, Pelly was. I really think Pelly was pretty good. I do. Prosecution, they just went on a little too long. Sometimes, with things. Okay. And so, like, sometimes less is better. Mm-hmm. You could stay more focused. And, but that's probably why they have so many of us there, because some see stuff that others don't.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
But, I think that Pelly was good. I didn't follow the second trial too much other than, on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. But again, I find it that here we are, this is our duty. You could be called for jury duty, and you were, and you stood up and you accepted it, and you gave up 19 days of your life. But it is also very interesting to me that how personal this has become, how you do not believe she was guilty, and how this has affected you personally and emotionally. To me, that says a lot.
I was leaving there, going to work till 10 at night, coming home. It was.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And I learned a lot through it, though. I learned that you can't just judge by what you see. You actually have to be there in a courtroom, in the juror room, to understand a case. So I've learned not to judge from what I see on TV.
Also, what would you say to this comment that maybe we all have learned out of this trial, but you right up close and with a firsthand view, that how quickly one mistake, one thing, this happens, that happens, these little things that happen in your life can just wipe out an entire family and two families, which is really what's happened here.
Yeah, it's scary. It is very scary.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully someday they'll find justice for Mary. That's all.
But you, at this point, do not believe that has been done?
No.
Colleen Jennings was a juror in the first Conley trial. We really appreciate you calling in. We didn't expect this. And I just have to say thank you for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Colleen.
Bye-bye.
Colleen Jennings. We'll break and come back at WIBX.